Hello everyone. Yes, today I'll be talking about what we're used to, CI/CD, but then I want to take a little bit of like a different approach to doing this. So I'll deploy a Golang application to EKS on AWS using GitHub Actions and then also ArgoCD. So just running through the background. So usually CI/CD processes are handled by a single tool like probably Jenkins, GitOps, GitHub Actions, and a couple of others, which handles application build, the push, the deploy to the Kubernetes cluster. While this approach is fine and works quite well, I personally have a preference of separating the CI and the CD processes to different tools because using a GitOps tool like ArgoCD provides better visibility for the development team and other teams that need to have access to the application deployment process and the applications. And usually this over time can become like a black box where only the ops team have access to. So in this set of tutorials, it's going to be like several sets of tutorials. So we'll break it down. We'll achieve the following goals, and so I'll be wearing a double hat. I'll be the application developer and also the DevOps engineer that will deploy the app. And here are the steps that we will do to achieve this. And then before I walk us through the steps, I'll just show us like how this currently looks because I've already like deployed it. So if we look at the GitHub Actions and I pick like one of the workflows that's already been run, and you can see that we have like three stages, and the first stage is where we're basically just building the application artifact, and then afterwards GitHub Actions is handling the Docker image build and then pushes it to Elastic Container Registry on AWS. And then afterwards, it provides an updated tag of the image that was pushed to the repository, the GitHub repository, from where ArgoCD will do its GitOps things and then run the CD process or the deployment to the cluster. As we can see here, ArgoCD is plugged to that cluster and then it gets the deployment. So this gives a better visibility to the developers and other stakeholders that need to see how the deployment process has gone. And so we can just now walk through like the steps or what we would basically do in this set of tutorials. So the first one would be to Dockerize the application, which is a simple Golang web API. And then after we Dockerize that, we'll then create like a bunch of the Kubernetes files, like the deployments, the services, the ingresses, and all the other things that the application would need to be need for deployment to the cluster. And then afterwards, since we have what we need ready, then we are basically missing the infrastructure. So we'd use the infrastructure as code tool Terraform to create a VPC on AWS, and would create a couple of subnets in there. When we start that, you would see, and then would create like the EKS cluster in that VPC, and would also create like the container registry where the image will be pushed to an RDS database, which will serve as the backend to the application. It's going to be a Postgres database server. And after we have like the cluster running, we would install like the general tools like Set Manager for SSL management or creation, and then sealed secret basically to help us encrypt secrets so that we can have secrets stored safely in version control and other resources on the EKS cluster. And then afterwards, we will deploy ArgoCD on the EKS cluster, which would handle our CD part of this entire journey. And then it will connect it and prep it to ready to use the GitHub repository. And then afterwards, we'll set up like the GitHub Actions workflow to build application artifacts and the Docker images and push those to ECR, and also update the file, the Kubernetes deployment file with the latest image tag. And then afterwards, we will like run end to end to be sure that functionality that we expect is actually in place. So that's going to be like a couple of tutorials. We'll see how we proceed over time. I hope you join me in like the details detailed implementation of this. Thanks for watching.